This Starbucks commercial was filmed with the smartphone iPhone 14 Pro in Protake app. In this tutorial, I'll show you the studio setup, camera settings, how each shot was created, and I'll show you how the edit was done with overlays and special effects to create the flowy final result. This video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. 2 weeks ago, I created a tutorial on how to take photo of a highly reflective product. The product is Double Shot from Starbucks. I don't drink this, but I bought it because I like the packaging and I thought it's suitable for these tutorials. My choice for the background is black. I was using black paper background, which I rolled over a table, which was placed a bit further away from the wall. I wanted lots of space between the product and the wall to ensure the background is really black. I placed a clear plastic sheet on top of it in case I wanted a full product shot with reflection. I got some, but I didn't use them in the final edit. It is always good to take extra shots, that way you have a large variety of shots to choose from. It would be bad if you didn't have enough shots for creating the final commercial. The edge of the paper background I taped carefully to the table, as I didn't want to have any paper sticking up in the shot. The tripod was placed very low, making sure the camera is in the center of the product. It has to be in the same eye level, no looking down. Most of the time I was working with this panel LED light by Iwata. I reviewed this light in the past. I toned it down to 40% and the color temperature I selected was 5600 Kelvin, which is a daytime. I wanted to create this dreamy look, softer look, so I opted for this Nissi quarter mist filter. What it does is spills the light. The light doesn't end up looking harsh, but rather looks like a cloud of light. Most of the shots were filmed much later in the afternoon, so it was fairly dark outside, but if you are filming during the day and you are finding that the light is way too bright, it's good to wait for later or just cover the window. That way you will have very precise light and the background stays truly black. My phone is iPhone 14 Pro, however, it doesn't matter what smartphone you are using. I'm going to show you manual settings, which should work with most smartphones regardless of the brand. As I can film only in automatic mode in native camera app on this one, I optioned to use Protake app. That is my preferred app when it comes to manual mode, filming on iPhone. I selected Pro mode. My preferred frame rate is 60 frames per second as I can keep it at the real speed, but I can also slow it down at times, and that is exactly what I did. I chose 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, so naturally the shutter speed needs to be 1/120th. I chose the lowest ISO I could. In this case, it was 57. White balance I selected the same as the LED light, 5600 Kelvin daylight. I chose 2x telephoto lens as I wanted to get fairly close at the subject. I wanted to make sure all shots are in focus, so I chose focus peaking as my always on assistant. I also pulled out rules of third grid to make sure all my lines, my horizon, and vertical lines are perfect. When it comes to Protake settings, I like to save all my files in camera roll. I made sure I checked that setting. I also turned off stabilization as I was filming static shots on a tripod. I could have selected a 10 SDR bit to get better quality, and that is one bit of a mistake I made. I overlooked this setting and I had only 8 SDR bits selected. I left all other settings by default. I was using automatic focus the whole time. I started with a very basic, classic product spinning shot. I purchased this cheap product spinner. You can select speed on it, so I slow it down a bit as the music is quite dramatic and slower pace. Speaking of music, I downloaded the whole song, which is quite long, but I only wanted 30 seconds total. So I grabbed the beginning part of the music and then the ending part of the music and I cut it together. I found this music under Future Bass section in Epidemic Sound. I have used them exclusively pretty much ever since I started this channel, as I don't want to deal with copyright strikes and all that. I want to use the same music, the same content, the same video across different social media, so I don't want to worry about anything. Their music selection is huge, fresh music and sound effects are added all the time. You can use their website to download the music, or you can download their Epidemic Sound app directly to your smartphone. Use my link below to get a 30-day free trial. Everything you post during the trial is protected, even if you cancel. Thank you very much, Epidemic Sound, for making this video possible. How did I create the moody light? I grabbed the LED light and literally started moving it around. I moved it around the product in circle, behind, in the front. I pointed the light straight to the lens as I was going around. As I had the mist filter on a smartphone, the light was getting a bit spoiled, so it created this nice light cloud. Next, I was just lighting up certain parts of the product, so going up and down to create light movement. Once I was done with this shot, I repeated the whole thing again, except this time I placed tripod much higher to take the shot from the top to show the top of the can. So I was pointing slightly down. I still kept going with the spinning shot, but this time I changed the lights quite a lot. I wanted to have only the edges lit up, so I grabbed 2 LED lights. These are new, made by Jen. They're extremely strong. So I had to really tone it down to a minimum. I didn't want to have the edges way too bright. Once I placed them on the sides, I was looking at the screen and I saw that I needed to place them a little bit further back, right behind. That gives you a touch of light on the sides, creating this nice separation from the background. I took just a shot like that. Then I grabbed the panel LED light and I started adding light movement to it, swinging it in the front of the light, up the front of the product. I was never just holding the light there on one spot. I always made sure I was creating some sort of a movement. Because if the product is already static, it is spinning around, adding light movement will create another movement on top of the first movement. Working with coffee beans can be always quite messy. I grabbed a larger tray I have, placed small towels in it to make it soft, as I knew that I would be throwing this product in the coffee beans. The shot was happening overhead, pointing straight down. Now, I do have a fancy equipment I could have used. I have sliders and all that, but I wanted to show you how you can easily attach the smartphone just with elastics and a stick, or even clothing hangers. You don't need an expensive setup. All was left to do was add lots of coffee beans, let it spin, and keep dropping more coffee beans down just past the lens, so it gets as close to the lens as possible. I also added later on LED light movements to create moody shots. If you don't move the light, it's static, you will see just falling beans. If you move the lights, light movement introduces moody shadows. The falling can shot was quite challenging and required lots of takes to get that right. It would have been easier if I had a bigger tray. I was seeing lots of edges. When you throw the can, you have to wait for the right angle for the spinner to spin it the right way. And also let go so it doesn't spin and you don't lose the front of the can. It can turn as it is falling and suddenly you're on the ingredients side, which doesn't look that great. Later on, I added LED light to play again and tried to coordinate the light moves with the falling can move. It's better to shoot a few different options. Again, you end up with variety. Last shots were just simple clips of pouring coffee. I grabbed a large container, placed a LED light on the side to lit only one side for a moody look, and started pouring the coffee. Let's talk about video editing. I still edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm going to say still, because editing this commercial was a very frustrating task. I originally wanted to do a lot of masking techniques there, but sadly the program kept freezing and then crashing, and I sometimes had to even restart the whole computer. And I have a gaming laptop. I have a very fast computer, quite new. So I completely changed my idea and I went with a completely different edit. If you are new and you are still deciding what editing program to learn, I don't recommend Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm now very much considering to switch. If I did edit either in Wondershare Filmora or DaVinci Resolve, it would have been a different story. The first rough cut was the most important one, finding the shots which have a lot of light movement on the beats and changing melody. As the melody got fast, I kept the clips very short and edited many of them. I really took my time to edit this. I did it over 3 days. Basically, you edit a little bit, you walk away, you come back in a few hours and you edit some more. You reset your mind, so when you look at it freshly, you will see what you don't like immediately and you can change that. There are 5 spots where I edit a basic dip to black transition. I didn't want to see any rough cuts. If I didn't edit here, for example, you could see that the clip wasn't starting perfectly from black going into lit product. Next step was adding movement. As all the shots were static, having just a smartphone on the tripod, there was no zoom in or zoom out movement. I added lots of zoom in and out movement in the post. If I didn't do that, it would be quite boring. It would be very amateur looking. The shot where I'm pouring the coffee out of the can, I actually am moving the shot from the right to the left. And then on the top of the last clip, I added another layer with Starbucks logo. The color grading was very minimal. I did mostly just a color correction. So I brought the contrast a little bit up, shadows down, and I played a bit with the white balance. I made it a little bit warmer. The last step was to add smoke effects and light effects, the light streak. Those are clips I downloaded from Storyblocks. You can find clips like this on any royalty-free sites. You can most likely find free ones somewhere as well. Those are smoke clips on black background. What you do, you place those clips on top of the original clip and select screen blend mode. It will get rid of the black background and only the smoke will be visible. The same goes to the light streak. I downloaded this clip and then just used screen blend mode. I'm pretty sure that some of you are wondering why I went with the smoke effect, because normally when you take photos of products which are like a drink in a can, everyone usually does the ice version with water drops all over the can. We have winter right now in Canada, and the idea of me drinking right now iced coffee is not really appealing to me. So when I drink a coffee, I make it extra hot. I love hot coffee. And this is energy drink, which has a lot of caffeine in it. There are other ingredients in a drink. So I thought about hot, steamy, smoky, explosive. It was just my personal creative choice. I was playing a bit with the opacity with those clips as I wanted the smoke to pop in here and there. So when I wanted to see the smoke, I left it at 100% opacity. If I wanted the smoke to disappear, I created another keyframe and brought it down to 0%. Sometimes I zoomed in quite a lot on the clips as I wanted the smoke in certain areas of the clip. It was a lot of playing around, it took a while. Originally, I also placed the smoke over the clip when I'm pouring the coffee out, but then when I started thinking about it and I came back a few hours later, I just decided to replace it with the light streak. I thought it was a little bit too much already, so I went with the light streak version. I think it was a better choice. It just didn't make sense to me. I like the can and the smoke, but not when the coffee was pouring out. Again, don't ask me why, I just felt it doesn't belong there. I also placed black bar clip to create a widescreen look. I didn't add sound effects on this commercial except one. Just a very tiny sound of coffee being poured, and I really toned it down. I didn't want the sound to be heard too much. And that's all. Let's play the commercial once again. Give it a thumbs up if you like this tutorial and don't forget to subscribe for more. If you have any questions, comments, or want to say hello or ahoy, you can leave it below. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ahoy.